we're good to go on with the front porch show. Here's Don.
Live from St. Mary's by the Seat of Our Pants Productions presents the Front Porch Show starring John Stevens and Bill the Wonder Dog. This is Don Van Galen along with piano man Frank StGermain. Please join John and his guest, Scott Crawford from the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum, our own Orianna Brodbeck, and director Terry Todd. Musical guests, the Honeys, and our regular features with Lauren Eady and Community Calendar, and another episode of Alternate Facts, all tonight on the Front Porch Show.
We'll share a laugh or two. Big smiles for me and you. Let's hear it. Hello, hello.
The Front Porch Show.
We're good to go.
The Front Porch Show.
Hello, hello. We're good to go on with the Front Porch Show.
And now here's John. Welcome to the most beautiful town in the universe, St. Mary's. And as you can see, Belle the Wonder Dog is really excited about the show. And the other dog is Kaylee, that's Marie and my dog. So they're really anxious to have a good show here. Notice, by the way, the fancy curtains we have, courtesy of McBride's Rentals in Rannoch. And how do you like my Salvation Army t-shirt?
That's getting better all the time.
Getting better all the time. Look, if you've got an extra large shirt at home, take it into the Salvation Army this week. Tell them John sent you because I'm running out of shirts. Okay, extra large.
Extra large.
No.
Yeah,
Extra.
Look
Enough.
at this.
How many here for the first time? Put up your hand. Okay, welcome. Glad to have you here. Hope this is not your last time. Out of towners. Who's from out of town? Okay, I hear somebody's from where? Ottawa! Okay, anyone else? Where else? Cambridge. Love it. Anywhere else?
Lion's Head.
Lion's Head. Wow. Okay, I think that's about it, eh? Okay, and let's talk about our internet viewers. We always have Rich. Are you there? Rich Miller from Glendora, California, our Hollywood agent. And we have an update from Don.
Yeah, Richard's been working hard for us. John, California?
California, here I come.
Here I come. All right, well, let's hope so, because Rich's working on that.
There you go.
Yeah, he was having a conversation, believe it or not, John. He was talking to a person in the production office of The Ellen Show. And they seemed interested. So we've submitted an application on their website. They've asked some questions. And who knows? Now, they are on summer hiatus, so like we're not going next week, John. Which is good, because you and I are busy for the next couple of weeks. Anyway, but, you know, maybe the Christmas show?
Yes.
Yeah, maybe. So, in order to improve the odds, we're doing something special, aren't we?
We've created a petition online, friendly petitions, a lot of fun. Get on there, and it's on our Facebook group. It's on St. Mary's Life. We tried to spread it all around. And if you can click on it, but also leave a comment, a personal comment, of why you would like Ellen to come to St. Mary's, okay? And then we have...
I know why.
Ellen, please come to St. Mary's. Ellen, please come to St. Mary's, St. Mary's, St. Mary's. Ellen, come to St. Mary's.
You just made that up, right? You just made that up.
I did.
Yeah, you just made that up. Okay. We also have Tony Scatella, a regular viewer from Hamilton, Sharon Smith from Oakville, Karen Partridge from Listowel, Diane Flynn from Sebringville. We have Karen Sales, who I can't pronounce, from Woodstock. Ann Winkler-Morey, that's Amore, from Minneapolis, St. Paul. And our Eastern Bell crew, Kubra Erdogan, Jada Birol, and Savash Esatoglu. There we go. You can leave your comment on our broadcast as we go live, and Don will mention you in the commercials, or you can put your name and where you're from after the show, and we'll do a shout out to you. Okay, we go on to Community Calendar with Lauren Eady, and she's with the St. Mary's Independent.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, John.
Hello, how are you? What's new?
Hello.
Excellent. Not much. Did you have some questions for me?
Do I have some questions for, well, tell us what about the Independent now.
Okay, we have a 4-page edition called The Indie, which is available. Last week I mentioned it's at Tim Hortons and Stacy's Pizza, but it is also available at Jenny's, at the Snapping Turtle, Stonetown Coffee, the Cheese Shop, and online on our Facebook page.
And the Independent now is full color, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's getting better and better every day.
Yes, we are.
Good, wonderful. So what do we have happening in St. Mary's this week?
All right. Excuse me a moment. I have a bit of literature to read here. This week highlights begin Tuesday at 7:15 p.m. when the Kirkton Horticultural Society puts on their flower show at the Kirkton Woodham Community Center. On Wednesday night from 7 to 8 p.m., the St. Mary's Museum will be continuing its Melodies at the Museum Summer Concert Series, with Wes Murray performing right here at Cadzow Park. For ball fans, the Huron-Perth Fastball League Playoff Tournament for midget girls will be held in St. Mary's next weekend. Games will be held throughout the weekend at Teddy's Field and at the King Diamond at the Hall of Fame, with championship game slated for Sunday afternoon at Teddy's Field. The St. Mary's Lincoln's training camp gets underway for this Thursday, and their first exhibition game of the season takes place Saturday afternoon when they play host to the Cambridge Redhawks. Puck drops on Saturday at 2:45 p.m. Also on Saturday, the Milt Dunnell Field will take a stylish drive back in time as it hosts its 7th annual St. Mary's Car Show. The show and shine portion of the car show runs from noon until 3 p.m. and is free for spectators. Accompanying the classic cars will also be a variety of food vendors on site. From 2 until 4 on Saturday, Cadzow Village is hosting its Nature Day right here in Cadzow Park, with plenty of activities planned for a fun family day of all ages. And this is the literature included with that. So from 2 to 4, Cadzow Village, which is a group of neighbors promoting neighborliness, invites you to come visit the quieter, wilder side of our beautiful park and help create a fairy village near the museum, match cones and conifers, play games involving trees and plants, make nature postcards, learn about birds and other St. Mary's wildlife, take a closer look at insects and wildflowers, relax and watch the sky. Please begin your visit at the Tamarack Tree on the corner of Church and Park Street. Please begin your visit, and enter a draw for one of 3 outdoor prizes: family passes to Wildwood Conservation Area, the Corrie Macaulay's Harvest Festival. Arlene Calendar and Patsy Day have flyers. As well, if you need any more information, you can email cadzowvillage@gmail.com. And you can also check, next Sunday afternoon, August the 19th, is St. Mary's annual Teddy Bear Picnic. Come on out with your favorite teddy bear to East Ward Park, following the parade, which begins at 1 p.m. at the high school. The festivities at the park include games, rides, crafts, teddy bear judging. For more details, please check our ad on page 12 of this week's newspaper. And that's your St. Mary's Community Calendar.
Now, we had a lot of excitement in St. Mary's this past week.
We sure did.
And tell me what happened.
We had Murdoch Mysteries visit us for most of last week, which was incredibly exciting for our town.
And you have a little bit of gossip, right? St. Mary's people, by the way, they don't like gossip, do they?
Not at all.
Not
We
at all.
don't do gossip in this
We
town.
don't, but tell me about it. I need to know.
I was chatting with some of the crew, and actually a few of the members are very interested in relocating to our town.
There we go. Now, we have some people here who were... Put up your hand. Was anybody... I was in as an extra. Don, you were an extra. Fern, who's not here right now, she was an extra. Orianna was an extra. Anybody else here that was an extra for Murdoch Mysteries? Put up your hand. Oh, there we go. There we go. I remember you, yeah. Okay. You were not an extra.
They couldn't afford me.
Neither can we.
Minimum wage. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Don.
Yes.
You're looking scruffy looking to this week.
Who's scruffy looking?
You are. Look at me. I'm looking beautiful. You're looking scruffy.
Well, John, you know, that's really hurtful, you know? I mean, I make a real effort here to class up this show, you know? I put on my best clothes, and you're calling me scruffy looking?
Yes. And you look at, you even got suspenders on.
Oh, you mean like Murdoch Mysteries?
Like-
This is like I was dressed for Murdoch Mysteries?
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah, and I got suspenders, John. It's, you know, keep my pants up. You know, since I've started playing tennis, I'm losing all this weight.
Yes.
Yeah, you should start playing tennis, John.
Well, thank you. So tell me about your experience as an extra.
Oh well, you know it's great fun. But would you like to see my scene?
Go ahead, quickly.
Yeah, hang on. Okay. You call action.
Okay. Okay, quiet on the set. Action! There we go. Let's hear for Don and Galen. When it comes to Murdoch Mysteries, by the way, my wife will probably be the only one who recognizes me because they only shot me from the back.
Let's see.
Here's my scene.
You're making an ass of yourself, John. That 15-second scene took 5 hours to shoot, ladies and gentlemen.
There we go.
You wonder why TV is so expensive.
And they did makeup. The funny part is they did makeup on my face. And all I did was walk down an alley.
Well, I'm glad they didn't bother anywhere else, John. I'll tell you. I don't want that job. You're going to have to pay more than minimum wage for me to do that job.
Okay, well, we're ready for our first guest. Our first guest is synonymous with the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame and is annually cited as one of the top 100 most important people in Canadian baseball. Batting cleanup, number 48, Scott Crawford!
Buy me some peanuts and cracker jacks. I don't care if I
Ever get back. There we go.
Maybe we'll do it after.
Oh, we'll do it after. Okay.
He said he's
We-
going to buy us some peanuts and crackers.
Yeah, well, I hope so. We talked last year how you got to St. Mary's, and what's happened to the hall since?
Since I got here?
No, since we talked last year.
Oh, well, we're doing a huge construction job to renovate the old part of the museum and to add a new section to the museum.
So it's been closed all year.
It has. We started the project actually on my birthday last year, fond memory of that day, and in November, and they're still going.
And when's it going to open again? What's the projected date?
Spring 2019, that's our plan. So it's
Okay.
only 8 months or so.
But it is going to be open for next year for sure.
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
And by induction date, absolutely certain.
for sure.
Okay, wonderful. What new features will it be in the construction?
Well, we're pretty excited. I mean, the main thing we're doing with our construction is helping preserve our collection, right? I mean, as you know, you've been there many times and helped us out a few summers, and it was, we have a mass collection that people want to get their hands on, the researchers, Major League Baseball, Cooperstown, and we have the Simmons collection, and that's one of just a few things we want to help preserve, and that's why half our expansion is just purely for our collection and archives and our research library.
What's the Simmons collection? I really don't know.
It's a fellow who's in our Hall of Fame. His name is Harry Simmons. He worked for the commissioner's office in the mid-1900s, but his specialty was the 1800s baseball history.
Oh, wow.
And so we have the history of baseball from the 1800s in our collection.
And nobody else has this.
No, we got all the original documents.
Oh, amazing. Okay, with the growth in size, will there be a growth in staff?
I hope so.
Because you do enough.
I do. My kids like to see me. Toby and Noah are there sitting in the front row. So, yeah, we hope so. We need a curator on staff to really look after our collection. Like I said, it's so important, the history of baseball. We are the history of baseball in Canada and North America, and so we need people on board to help with that.
Right. What kind of things have you planned to draw people for the new, improved Hall of Fame?
I think the fact that researchers will be able to do some research, again, because our collection that we have, the whole inside of the old museum is going to look new. And then also we have a bit of new display space. We're hoping to bring in outside baseball museums like the Negro League Hall of Fame, Cooperstown, et cetera, et cetera. We'll have into our new space and bring in. And that's what all museums do. That's what Amy does here at the St. Mary's Museum, brings in unique collections and artifacts to show people.
Right. And have you set any targets for attendance?
No, we really don't know what to expect. I mean, we've been in St. Mary's. We've been open 20 years now in St. Mary's. We've always had the old stone house as a museum, and now we're almost tripling our size. And so we're pretty excited, but not sure what to expect next year. Other than it's going to increase. And
it'll be fully wheelchair accessible, which is great. It was before, but it's going to be a lot better.
Oh yeah, yep.
And what kind of things about, because funding? You know, obviously to do this, and you have to hire a curator. How you hope to achieve your funding goals?
Well, like we always do, we do government grants and events and donations, and we just keep going that way. Again, with the increase, with the bigger museum and the increase of attendance and whatnot, we think that will help a lot. I mean,
right, okay. What have you done to maintain your high profile in Canada? I know you've been on a few TV shows and baseball games on sports nets and things like that. What other things do you do?
It's just getting the word out, visiting the other Major League parks, going down to Cooperstown. We've been there the last 2 years when Expos have been inducted into the National Hall of Fame down there. It's just creating the awareness, talking to people, getting to know the players, telling them about us, spreading the word.
And we have 4 beautiful fielders besides the Hall of Fame. How much are they used?
Those fields are tremendously busy. We have over 1,000 events at our site in the summer. We just hosted an 18-team mosquito championship tournament this past weekend. It was fantastic, and those fields go 7 days a week from mid-April to mid-October.
Right. Now, we have teams always going to the Little League World Series down in the States. Any thought of hosting the Canadian qualifier for that to do it? Anything?
Yeah, and I was just hosted this weekend, actually. BC won it, so they're going to represent
where was it
Canada.
hosted, though?
I think
it was Lloydminster, I think.
Could have been.
Yeah, but is there any hope of making St. Mary's a permanent site of that?
We could try. I mean, it's they generally like a lot of hotel space in the town where the tournament's hosted. St. Mary's has 2 great inns, but they're small and they're full this time of year.
And they have some wonderful bed and breakfast, I think.
They do. Yes, I hear. Oops, I hear Riverside is fantastic. John got me on that one. But no, I mean, we hope to. Again, we've hosted 7 tournaments this year already. And we got 2 more to go, so it's busy, and if we can host bigger and
that
better.
certainly brings money to the town when people come from out of town.
It does. I mean, 18 teams. We've had teams from all over the province.
And they have to eat somewhere, and they buy souvenir T-shirts at Sunrays and places like that, and the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame souvenirs. How many Canadians? We've had a surge of Canadians playing in the major leagues. How many are playing right now?
There's about a dozen right now. The Jays had 2. Now they have 1 with Russell Martin. With John Axford got traded to the Dodgers just last week. We had the greatest hitter in all of baseball, Joey Votto. He's from Toronto. And there's several. There's a lot of up-and-comings. Canada's gone into a streak of there's a lot of great players in AA and AAA right now, and they're going to be the next thing. Even Vladimir Guerrero Jr., when talks with the Blue Jays, he was born in Montreal, so he definitely counts as
we're gonna make sure he's Canadian, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. We've had several noteworthy Canadians who have retired recently, and they've sort of passed their 5-year date. Who are some of these people you think have a pretty good chance of being inducted in the Hall of Fame soon?
There's a lot of guys. I mean, like you said, they've just retired. Jason Bay, Justin Morneau. If you're not a baseball lover, you might not know these names, but some of the best in Canada. They're both from British Columbia. Jesse Crane, Eric Bedard, Rich Harden, Jeff Francis, who pitched 11 years in the big leagues. He lives down in London. He was up here this summer helping us with one of the kids' events. There's a lot of guys. Russell Martin will be done in a couple of years, so he won't be too far down the road. And, and there's a lot of great Canadian talent.
Yeah, so it'll be good. So beyond this expansion year, what do you see happening in the Baseball Hall of Fame in the next 10 years?
I think we just continue to grow. I mean, we're in Southern Ontario. A lot of people in Southern Ontario know us, but it's getting the rest of Canada to know that we're the place. I think, again, when our collection's done and ready, and we can get out there and tell everyone about it, it's going to bring more people to town. So it's the collection. It's bringing more people to the Hall of Fame, to know about the Hall of Fame, to learn that we're the place, we're the experts, and come see us.
What are some of the favorite things in the Hall of Fame that people really like when they come and visit?
I would say, I mean, the more popular ones like the Babe Ruth bat and ball, some of the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League items, the Vancouver Asahi items, and then of course the current kids. The kids like the current players. You know, the kids don't know Babe Ruth, they're watch Fergie Jenkins like we did, so they like the current players.
Can I tell you what my favorites are?
Sure can.
Okay, one of my favorites is there's a life-size cutout of Larry Walker when he was younger.
Yeah.
But if you stand beside it and put your arm around him, it actually looks like you're with Larry Walker. It's quite amazing. And of course, my absolute favorite is the Joe Carter home plate. Touch 'em all, Joe. Our Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame. They got the last one he touched, and it's. I don't know. When you touch it, and you're allowed to touch it, right? Or is it under wraps still?
No, you can touch it.
You can actually touch this, and we always said, make a wish.
Yeah. It's actually at the Rogers Center this weekend. The Jays had their big World Series reunion, and of course the Jays had some items, but we had better items than the Blue Jays. So they hope they're not listening. Well, I hope they are listening.
Yes.
But,
well, of course they're
listening. But they asked for Joe Carter's home plate and 5 other items that we had that they didn't. So they came to us looking for stuff for their collection.
Now the Blue Jays have been very supportive of the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame, as has been sort of the Expos, even though they're not officially there. Tell me about their
No, they're great. The Blue Jays were here for a couple seasons doing their street festival. They allow us to promote there. They have me on TV prior to induction to tell people about our induction class and come down here. Again, they had our artifacts on display this weekend for their big World Series reunion, and they're nonstop supporting the Hall of Fame. They know baseball in Canada is important, and they're learning that the history of the baseball is important.
Okay, well, we've got a bit of surprise for you here, Scott. Don Van Galen is going to come on, and he's going to give alternate facts.
Yeah.
But it's a baseball theme.
Yeah. So this week's, we want you to stay right there.
Where are our contestants?
Your
Don?
reference material is right in front of you.
And where are our contestants?
We're going to have our contestants, Reg and Blake, join us. So we're going to do a session about alternate facts. Now, gentlemen, have you seen the show before?
Yes, I have. Absolutely.
Okay, great. So would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Red Young from St. Mary's.
Reg from St. Mary's. And
Blake Wood, originally from Woodstock, been in St. Mary's now 6 years.
all right. Okay, so you know how alternate facts work? I am going to tell you a story. You are going to tell me whether or not you believe it by telling me whether it's true or in fact an alternate fact, as Mr. Trump likes to say. You're listening carefully. You know exactly what you need to do there, Scott.
Yep.
You are the arbiter of the truth today. All right, so a lot of people have been asking me since I made my announcement a few weeks ago that I wouldn't be running. Well, surely you must know some secrets about some former politicians in town. Can't you tell us one? Can't you tell us some? I said, well, today is the day. I tell all. Okay, so I'm going to put the clock back a little bit farther, though. About what year, Scott, would you say? 1865, around there? Yeah, so a little before my time. But there was a mayor of this town called Adam Enoch Ford. Now, he was a doctor, an athlete, became a counselor in the town, married very well, got elected mayor, served one term, and then, as fortunes do happen in politics, he was out. And in those days, you know, whether or not you stood on one side or the other of temperance, that is, you know, whether you thought drinking was a good idea or not was a big issue. And the doctor was what they call a drinker, and still call a drinker. And anyways, and he would occasionally imbibe with some other gentlemen in the town, and he was known to actually try to, you know, get people convinced that this was a good idea. So one night, unfortunately, one of the fellows that he was out drinking with got a little sick, and he went home, and he happened to be the son of the mayor who beat him. So there was a bit of a rivalry in this family, and guess what? this boy died. Big controversy. Investigation, inquiry, court case. Well, as you know, you go through that kind of a scandal in politics, win or lose, you're done, right? So, Adam Enoch Ford, the bearer of the true facts of the origins of baseball, left St. Mary's to head for Denver, where he later wrote his memoirs about Canadian baseball and its origins. Or did he? Was Adam Enoch Ford, the former mayor of St. Mary's, scandalized by an incident of drinking? Ladies and gentlemen, what do you think? Truth or alternate fact?
True fact.
True fact. And you, sir?
Absolutely alternate.
Okay, so we've got one winner today. We got only one winner. But ladies and gentlemen, what do you think? Is this a true story or is it an alternate fact? Okay, so there's some people out there who think their politicians are above such behaviors. Thank you. I appreciate it. The rest of you certainly can believe that they might get a little bit tipsy once in a while and end up in the wrong side of the law. But Scott, come and join me here. What can you tell us about this story?
Well, you should read a book.
I do.
Yeah, there you go. There is a great book written about the St. Mary's / Cooperstown story and the comparisons of the Hall of Fames in each city. The Hall of Fame's in St. Mary's because of the true story, and Cooperstown didn't really do the proper research for their story. But anyways, on to tonight's question, or answer. The mayor, Adam Ford, did cause a little trouble with the drinking, so it's a true fact.
True fact. Oh my goodness! I know you're really disappointed to believe your politicians behave so poorly. You know, the idea that your mayor would be drinking and causing such distress. Anyways, a St. Mary's Ford shirt for the winner here. You got a choice of colors: purple, blue, and black. And it's blue. It's blue. Okay, there's two more left, and we got 2 more weeks. We do have a runner-up prize here. A genuine Peter Rice print. Oh, I'm sorry. Here, I'm not even looking here. And the sticker as well. Hang on, we're losing them. We're losing them. Okay. All right. Thank you, gentlemen. That is this week's alternate fact.
Well, what do you think?
Okay, we're gonna go. Did you want to do something there,
You know
Frank?
something? What we should do, the three of us, just real quickly for Scott and the Baseball Hall of Fame, because this is the only Baseball Hall of Fame in Canada. And we'll get everybody singing, all right? Come on, John. Take
Me out to the ball game.
Come on, take
Me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and cracker jacks. I don't care if I ever go back. Pouring fruit, root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old.
Baseball Hall of Fame. Visit us.
There you go, baby.
Okay, just before we go, I want to mention that we do have some viewers out there. Pauline Disler says hello. Mary Vandenbergen's watching from TV in St. Mary's. Rich is watching again from California. Tony Scatella says hello. My good friend Eddie Matthews says good show, John. Thanks, Eddie. And Ryan Bickle says hello. So, ladies and and Roberta, get better soon, okay? We all miss you. So now we're going to go to a commercial. I don't know about you, but a ball game's great. But in the wintertime, it's the St. Mary's Lincoln.
Good evening, St. Mary's. Yes, that's right. Your community-owned St. Mary's Lincoln's season starts this Thursday. PRC, 6:15 p.m. They are going to be hitting the ice, and it is for the low, low price of free admission.
Wow.
They also have 5 exhibition games slated, 2 home and homes, one with Stratford Warriors and one with Cambridge Redhawks. I heard somebody's from Cambridge out here. Ooh, Cambridge. And being billed as the elders, the 2 oldest Junior B hockey clubs are going to be playing an exhibition game. The Waterloo Siskins and your St. Mary's Lincolns. The community support of the St. Mary's Lincolns is very important. We can't financially exist without the fans coming out to the games and corporate sponsorship. Lots of sponsorships are available still. Please check out our website at www.links.ca. Since 1956, your community-owned St. Mary's Lincolns have been given young men the opportunity to develop as players and grow as people in this small town. The St. Mary's Lincolns, honor the past, build the future. Go Lynx, go!
Yes. Go, Lynx, go! Go, Lynx, go! Go, Lynx, go! Come on.
Hey, hey, what do you say? Let's all go to a Lincoln's game. Hey, hey, taking away hockey night in St. Mary's.
Okay.
I just made that up.
Very good. Okay, Orianna Brodbeck, she's Belle's mama. And she's just returned from an amazing trip. And rather than giving you the details about it, I want her to tell her story. So here's Belle's mama, Orianna Brodbeck. Belle, yeah. Belle, wag your tail, Belle. Hello, Belle. No, she's not coming up. Okay. Go ahead. Okay, you went on a dream vacation. Where'd you go?
I did. I went to Uganda in Africa, and I was there for 17 days.
And why did you choose Uganda?
I chose Uganda because I wanted to do mostly primates, and I did the gorilla trek, chimpanzee trek, and golden monkey trek. Plus, there's about 8 other different kinds of primates that they have there.
And was this a package trip, or did you plan it yourself?
I actually planned it myself. All the packages that I looked at, they either had some parts that I wanted to do or some parts that I didn't. So I found a company called Oddly Travel. They're actually based out of Boston, and they comprised the package for me. And I was traveling alone, so it was a little bit different. Mm-hmm. So I just hired a guide to take me for the 17 days, pick me up at the airport, and away we went.
And 17 days you were away.
Yes, it was.
And you were in Uganda, you say?
Yeah, I flew just Uganda is the only country that I did. So I flew into Entebbe, which is their biggest city. I mean, it's not any city that we can imagine, but it's their biggest city. And did you have to do anything to prepare for your trip? Really just since I booked it a year ago, I was just trying to keep in shape because the climb to the gorillas is quite intense. You are climbing a mountain or a volcano, so the trek is actually quite hard on you. And I think you have to take quite a few shots, am I correct? Yeah, I had to have yellow fever to enter the country. I had my Hep A and Hep B, and I obviously took malaria pills with me in case of mosquitoes. But honestly, the bugs I didn't get bitten by anything, so it was great. So when you first arrived in Uganda, what was the first thing that struck you? The crazy drivers, mostly. Yeah, there's no lines, there's no lights, there's no traffic, crossings for pedestrians. It's just whichever way you go, and there's the roads are really bad, so there's major potholes, and so they just kind of drive around things. And then you have the boda, which are basically motorcycles that take either products or people, more than one. Usually there's 4 or 5 people on a bike. There's certain places, and then they negotiate how much they're going to pay to be moved. But they literally just go in and out. None of them wearing helmets or anything. They actually opened a hospital just for boda riders because they have so many horrible accidents with these guys. So and you're on a boda with them. I did get asked if I wanted a boda, and I said no. I think okay. I'll pass. Yeah. So, were there any moments in Uganda where you didn't feel very secure? None at all. I was totally felt safe. The first 2 days actually spent by myself because I wanted an extra couple of days just to kind of get over the jet lag and everything. And I walked around Entebbe all by myself. I went to a couple of conservation areas and went shopping. I mean, shopping that they have this funny little mall, but no, totally no problems at all.
So what were some of the memorable moments of your trip?
Well, on one of the game drives that I went to, we kind of came up to an area, and this is in the Queen Elizabeth National Park. It's a huge park that's obviously Queen Elizabeth opened in 1954, and we ran across a herd of elephants, and I saw a female, and she was picking up dirt with her trunk and then flipping it back, and all the dirt was falling on her back, and my guide said, oh, she's doing that to keep herself cool. The dirt falls on her back and it kind of protects them from the sun and the heat. And then I saw a little baby come up beside her, and she was kind of trying to mimic Mama doing it, and the mom was knocking the trunk. No, you don't do it like that, you do it like this. And she showed her, and then I saw the baby do it and actually succeed in flipping the dirt up on her back, and I thought that was kind of neat that I watched, an elephant teaching her baby how to cool herself down.
What were some of the things in Uganda, it's obviously not St. Mary's, that you had to adapt to?
I can't really think of anything that was like different. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I didn't sleep in a tent. I did have nice accommodations, and I did have my own driver, so I didn't have to kind of share with anybody or anything like that. I mean, as long as you're prepared with your water and your DEET, and don't mind getting dirty, because the dust on the roads is pretty crazy. So you do get very dirty.
So part of the trip was visiting the mountain gorillas.
It was,
yeah.
Yes.
Tell me about this experience.
Well, basically, I had actually arranged to get a habituation trek, which is for gorillas that aren't used to people. Because the experience that once you find them is a lot longer. It's actually 4 hours instead of 1 hour. But during my travels, I had talked to other people that had done the habituation, and they were a little disappointed because they're not as used to you, they're not as close. So you don't get the experience I'm sure lots of you have seen on YouTube where they're like literally beside you. And I sort of thought, I had actually paid a lot more to do the habituation trek. It's a lot more, it's twice as much. But I kind of wished that I had done 2 treks, maybe trekking 2 different families. So I had decided to switch from habituation to a regular trek, and I just donated the extra money to the research center. But it was the experience that I wanted, which was being like 4 feet from them. So
4 feet?
Yeah.
Wow. And what was their reaction to you when you were 4 feet?
Absolutely none. They just totally ignore it.
Sort of like Belle.
Yeah, I'm used to that. The only part that was kind of interesting were once we finally did track them, we were actually on a slope at about 45-degree angle. Our heels were actually dug into the ground because we were afraid of sliding into him, and he was literally like 4 feet in front of us. This is the silverback, and there are trackers that go ahead of you, and they machete the vegetation as you're going through and up the hill as you're climbing up. And anyways, of course, we're trying to take pictures, and he was kind of in amongst the vegetation, and we're having a hard time focusing because, of course, the camera wants to focus on the leaves. So the tracker just thought, oh well. So he went and he started hacking away at the vinery that was hanging in front of him, and of course, obviously, it didn't impress the silverback because he turned around and he banged on his chest and just screamed at us. And of course, the guide, I guess they're used to them. He just kind of chuckled and did a grunt, and then the gorilla grunted back. In other words, like, back off, buddy. And he did finally turn around, and we got some amazing pictures. But actually, what would have been more funny was to see our expression, because, of course, none of us got a picture of him doing that. We were all so shocked, but it would have been really funny to see our expression with him, because you couldn't have got up and ran. It was...
Some people, the controversy sometimes is that people say, look, if you keep on visiting the gorillas in their natural state, they'll become accustomed to humans and they'll lose sort of their primitive state. How do you feel about that?
Well, these gorillas there is 8 families that are habituated already. It's taken 15 years for them to do this. During this time, they have done a lot of studies on them. But because of the permits that you do need to have to go up to see them, they only take up 8 at a time. Like I said, there's the 8 families that you track, and then the 2 unhabituated gorillas. The money that they bring in is all put towards conservation and research, and it also helps to educate the local people as to why conservation is so important. So it actually, even though it sounds like, yes, we're being intrusive, it is actually saving them. And over the years for the gorilla trekking, the population has actually tripled. So for going from 250 gorillas 20 years ago to about 890.
Wow,
gorillas.
that's great.
Yeah.
Now, if somebody wants to go on such a trip, how do they do it, and how much money should they be budgeting?
Well, Oddly Travel really is an amazing venue. I mean, you can go through other safaris. There's lots of people that do the gorilla trekking. But if you want specific things that you want to see, then there are companies out there that you can easily access, and you just do it. I just did it all on the internet, basically. It cost me a bit more because I traveled alone, so I had to pay, like, hotels were more because I was a single, and I did have just the one driver. On the benefit, of course, then if I wanted to stop and see something, I could see something. And as a matter of fact, for the chimpanzee, I did do the habituation trek, and I was disappointed. I didn't really see them very close. So I added a trek the next day, and I said, I want to do it again, and I did a trek. So I managed to see, the chimpanzees were like, 4 feet from me.
So ballparking it, about how much does it cost?
I'd say about $15,000.
$15,000, okay. So what's the next trip on your bucket list?
Well, that was the bucket on the top,
Okay.
but I do have a trip planned for Rome in May, and I'm just going to do a bit of traveling till...
Okay, thank you, Ariana.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
Stay here for a minute. It's pretty obvious, I think, to the people here that the Front Porch Show is live and outdoors, and that we're in farming country. If you take a deep breath, Don, that'll lead us into the next commercial
Well,
break.
there's certain things that don't translate over Facebook, thank God, right?
Yes.
But hey, I'm born on a farm. I'm okay with this. How about you guys? I mean, you know what this all means. This is good news. We have a healthy farming community. Just a little bit of aroma tonight.
We do.
Oh, to Perth.
Oh yeah.
Oh, to Perth.
Oh, to Perth. Anyways, would you like to hear about our next commercial, John?
Yes, I would.
Yeah. Now, you're a writer, right, John?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Now, do you use a computer or do you use ink?
I use a computer.
You use a computer?
Absolutely.
Well, our guest here uses ink.
Okay.
Yes. Ink. A-dink. Oh.
Hi there, St. Mary's. I'm Cher from Sterling's New Life Tattoo. So not even just tattoos I do. Been in town here. I'd like to thank you for the town. It's been a wonderful 4 years now, raising my son and everything here. But I'm also an artist as well. I like to educate people on the new things about tattoos, actually. It's not just your sailor or typical stickers anymore. It's surprisingly that I do a lot of medical alert bracelets, to wedding rings, to covering up scars, changing the old regrets that you maybe got 40 years ago in tattoos and actually make it into something beautiful nowadays. Another great thing with tattooing is my eyebrows are tattooed, so as ladies would appreciate that is wake up and go. But also another great service I provide is people who suffer from skin pigment, vitiligo. I actually basically tattoo in your skin pigment, so no longer creams or anything, and those white spots are gone permanently. So, like to say, you can catch me down at the studio at Sterling's New Life, right across from Timmy's. That's the easiest direction, and it's best just come in and consult, see what I'm doing. I'm all full of questions. Like I said, I love drawing, not even just drawing on people permanently, but thank you for having me here, and way to go, Front Porch Show. Thank you, St. Mary's.
I love it.
Simply means
Anybody remember that song? Jimmy Durante.
Okay. Cher also said that I have a bit of a bald spot in the back of my head. She said that she could do little black things to make it look like I have hair back there. So, yeah. But a billy goat. Why would I want a billy goat? Okay. Our next guest is Terry Todd, and he's been around community theater for a long time. He's directed several plays in the St. Mary's Community Players And all the world's a stage for Terry Todd. Come on down, Terry. Thank you. I apologize for not getting, these chairs are almost impossible to get up with a table in front of you, so you're not getting the full treatment here. It's obvious, say hello.
Hello.
Now it's obvious from your accent that you weren't born in St. Mary's. So where did you get your start?
Where did I get my start? In bed, or where was I born?
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah, I was born in England, 1944, Portsmouth. I was born July the 22nd, and I was born the last night that the Germans sent V-2 rockets into Portsmouth. And that's a true story.
It's not an alternate fact.
No, it's not an alternate fact.
So
that's
what
I'm a little busy.
So what age did you get involved in theatre?
Probably started when I was about 8 years old with school plays, and then I went on to, we had a very large factory that I worked in that had its own theatre, and I started to produce and put together variety shows. By the time I was 20, I ended up getting married, so that ended my theatre life for a while anyway.
And so, how far in your acting career did you develop in England?
Not very much. It was just a passion as a kid. Like I said, school plays. I was in the Scouts, and we put on little shows and stuff like that. But I always had this love for theatre, and my mother, as a little boy, used to take me to the pantomimes and stuff like that. But to get involved in theatre in them days, I come from quite a large family. You couldn't afford to do it, you know. So
now, when did you come to Canada then?
I came to Canada January the 2nd, 1966. That was London, Ontario. Worked for a company called Cadzow. When I came here, I just finished my apprenticeship. I was a tool and die mold maker, but I worked in London for Cadzow Corporation, and then Webster Air at the time that went to Webster Manufacturing. And that was about it for London.
So when did you did you participate in theatre in London then?
No, later on I did, but not at that time. I was too busy raising a family.
Okay. So when did you get involved in theatre? Was it when you came to St. Mary's?
Yeah, really it was, John. And at that, I was very fringe because I became a single parent in 77, and I actually joined St. Mary's Community Plays, very fringe. I think it was 1979, and I'm not sure whether I got the shows right, but I had done Anne of Green Gables and Oklahoma. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. My first job was I believe it was 1994 for St. Mary's, and it was a one-act play called Sorry, Wrong Number. And I just loved the process. It was a one-act play that we done. It quite successful, and it was just I have been in some shows, but we already had one in the family, which is Carl Robinson, and I didn't want to compete with my wife. I mean, she's forgotten more about acting than I'll ever know.
Yeah.
So. But anyway, I went on to directing. I loved the process of bringing people together.
So did you meet Carol in St. Mary's then?
Yes, actually I did. The first show I done with Carol was Charlie's aunt, and somebody phoned up and said, would I stage manage? I said, well, what does the stage manager like do? Say, well, after everybody leaves, you just sweep up. Well, not quite true. You're always the last out, but from there, it was a passion. I did have some freed up time, so I started to go to Theatre Ontario. My very first show that I'd done, a full play, was Sleuth, and that was for Ingersoll. I think that was 85, something like that. At one time, we were doing almost 4 shows a year. Like, I went out, and I got to be quite successful. The Palace Theatre in London, Ingersoll, Woodstock, Embro. There were just a few places that I went. In the meantime, I did do a few acting jobs, but it wasn't for me. no, it wasn't for me.
Now, what are some of the plays you've directed then?
Oh, I've done just about every musical, not directed. I've directed Jesus Christ Superstar, Cabaret, as you know.
Cabaret. Now let's talk a bit about Cabaret.
Oh, Cabaret.
That was one of the highlights of my life. I was like you, very much in the background. Deutsche Grenzkontrolle, ich passe bitte. I had to speak German, which is interesting. Yeah. But Don has a bit of a story here.
Yeah, so, am I on? Good. So, Terry was director, I was producer, along with 2 other people. And so Terry was doing auditions. And so I'm just organizing the actors as they come through, making sure they sign the forms and giving them the scripts to read and sending them in to see Terry. And Terry's giving them the usual years. And then about half an hour to go, Terry comes out with the scripts and he hands it to me. He said, Don, you're on. Read this. And I said, no, Terry. The deal was I am producing the show. I am not going to be in the show. I can't do both. I'm a busy man. And he said, no, I just need you to do it, Don. Please do it. Okay, I'll just read it, but, I'm not going to in. So I do it for Terry, and I get the call the next day about the cast, and the last thing he says to me is, Don, you're in the cast. You're Max. And I said, Terry, we talked about this. 3-4 lines, he says, that's all. I said, I don't care, Terry. I can't do 3 or 4 lines. I told you. And then you said, what did you say?
You can do it, Don. You can do it.
No. You said something else.
Oh, I forgot to play it.
No. You said it's 3 or 4 lines, and you get to make out with Sally. And I said, 3 or 4 lines? Is that all?
Right. Yes, it was. You stole the show in the beginning. You had more stage time than the lead.
Yeah. I got to do the whole warm up. It's kind of like doing a front porch show, right?
By the seat of your pants.
All of me.
Okay. What is the difference between doing a musical, a drama, and a comedy as a director?
Production-wise, I'm normally working on a musical for about 6 months. To put the show together, rehearsal time is about 120 hours. That's excluding the run of the show. A drama, I just finished doing All My Sons here. The drama took us, I'd say about 70 hours. I would say a comedy or farce, whatever you want to call it, takes a little longer. But it's just sheer volume, John, of people, hours putting in, the expense of doing the show.
I'm always amazed at the actors themselves. They put in so much time to come to the final product. They don't get paid. And how many performances do they have?
Oh, I think, we run an extra one, I believe, but 12 performances.
12 max.
Yeah.
So
one thing I would like to say about Cabaret, and a lot of people say, oh, well, you've done a wonderful job. No, it wasn't just me. We had a phenomenal cast. We had a girl that came over from Stratford, was unbelievable as a musical director.
Yes.
And I would like to say this, the board allowed me to do what I wanted to do with the show, which I'd done it 20 years prior as a producer, and I found it too squeaky clean.
Well, we had, I was there. I got to, well, no, I won't say that. Yeah. But I got to. I even had an ape come and, a gorilla come and blow a kiss at me. It was great.
What we did do with that show, and I'd like to mention this because there's a few people here tonight that were involved with that show, was it was unbelievable. We entered a competition which is called Western Ontario Drama League. The most awards any musical had ever, show had ever won was 8. Little old St. Mary's went in, and we won 14 awards out of 16. And thank you.
All I can say, and I'm not impartial. I'm partial, but I've seen the movie and I enjoyed our play more than the movie. Yeah. It was not the characterization of the people were not the same, but I thought it was even deeper.
Yeah.
And everybody did a great job.
Oh, it's fabulous, and plus we made quite a bit of money, which enabled us to do All My Sons, which done actually quite quite well as a heavy drama.
Okay. So what are you working on now, Terry?
I think it was about a month ago, maybe 6 weeks ago, I auditioned people for Brigadoon down in Embro, the Thistle Theatre Group. I've worked down there for many, many years. Good group. We've actually got some people from St. Mary's going down. Lanny Hall that runs Lyric Flowers, he's going to be the musical director. Funny thing is, 20 years ago, Lanny was played the electric organ for when St. Mary's done it the first time around, and I produced it. So, but yeah, and the show does go on. I believe it's November the 23rd for a 2-week run. So come on down. We're quite excited about it. I had a fabulous turnout. We had, I think it was something like about 44 people come out, and I've cast at least 36.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Now, if you're looking for somebody to lean against a pole, or somebody to walk away from the backside, Don and I are available for the show.
We're looking for somebody that would wear a costume of a goat.
On the back of his head?
Yes.
Oh, we know where to go. Okay, well, thanks for coming in, Terry.
Yeah.
And Don, you got something on there? What's happening?
Yeah, I've got a few more call-outs.
Call-outs, okay.
Call-outs, Joe, there, okay. So, Chris Butler does the wave. You know what that means in internet parlance? He does the wave. Darren Pryke from Markham. Hi from Markham. Rich Miller says, great job done.
I feel like Eddie.
Rich knows what side of the bread his butter's on. Rob Edney and himself and the crew are watching from Lake Nipissing, so we miss Rob, but we're getting by. And Chantel Lynch says is working and listening. So the call-outs are improving, and we're really making waves all the way down in California.
Okay, might want to put the microphone back. There we go. Thank you, Don.
Where do you want
We're so happy now to have the Honeys CA on our show. And we've been looking for this since the beginning of the summer when we first got them. And as you will hear, like honey, their sound is so sweet. Here they are, the Honeys CA.
Hello, everybody. Beautiful night here in St. Mary's. So beautiful. We're going to start off first song, off of our most recent CD. 2, 3, 4.
Here
Thank you.
Get in here nice and close so we can use the same mic.
Yes.
Okay. Please introduce yourselves first. I know who you are, but I don't think a lot of people out there, and our internet people, especially in Istanbul, have no idea who you are.
Well, I'm Kate Ashby-Craft.
And I'm Carolyn Burchell.
Okay, wonderful.
Thank you.
Now, I have this Honeys CA.
We knew you were going to ask that, John.
I know you did.
CA stands for Canadian A.
Well, we've got a bit of a story on that. We picked our name, and then we found out afterwards, we've been using it, a group from California, Brian Wilson's wife, as a matter of fact, was in the same group. They were a little upset that we had the same name, and we had already started all the marketing, so we had to think quickly. So CA is Canadian.
Well, especially when we found out they had a trademark.
And now you got away with this, eh?
Well, we added the CA, so
okay,
we're safe now.
So when did you first get together as a duo?
Wow, Carol and I met Purple Hill.
3 years ago.
Yeah, 3 years ago.
So what was the motivation to get together?
That's a good question, because we both had solo careers for many years, and well, I don't know, I just thought it'd be like to play with someone else. And,
Well, I got a call one day from you asking, would you like to form a female duo?
Yeah.
There you go.
And I thought Carol and I, our voices would work together.
Now, most of your materials is original,
Yes,
correct?
it is, yes.
And who does the writing now?
Carol and I both do.
So you work together like McCarthy and Lennon?
I wish.
Not yet, not yet.
We're working on it.
So you mentioned you met at Purple Hill, which is just outside of St. Mary's, great place to go to. What other venues have you played at?
Caroline, do you want to?
Yeah, well, we've played in Petroleum, Art in the Park. We've played at the London Music Club quite a bit in London. Free Times Cafe in Toronto, and
We do have played Montforte in Stratford. It was unfortunately no longer there, but we will be doing a concert in Stratford at Masonic Hall in November.
So the next time somebody interviews you, you're going to say also you played the Front Porch Show.
Yes, absolutely, John.
Okay,
that's
good.
on our
Just want to
top
make
of
sure
our
of that.
list.
Okay, you got a new CD out.
Yes, we do.
And how do people get it?
Well, it's online at cdbaby.com. Or you can buy locally from the world's coolest music store on your main street.
or Treasures in Stratford and Vanguard Books.
That's right.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to have another treat. I'm not going to talk to you anymore. 2 more numbers. Off you go. What are they? Can you introduce them?
Yeah, this next song is a song that first song that we did. Caroline wrote that song, Here in My Heart. This song I wrote. It's called Beautiful Moon. And it goes something like this.
The Honeys, CA.
This song goes out to Frank, and proud to say this song that Kate wrote is right now being played on 40 American radio stations.
So do we have any lunar people out there tonight?
What do you mean loony people? I don't see any loony people sitting here, Kate. What are you talking about?
No, Carolyn, not loony people. I mean people who love the moon.
Oh, like wolf people.
Wolf people? Oh boy. Beautiful moon, oh, just for me. Short tonight, chase the darkness away. A beautiful moon, wanna fly up to you. Fall you across the sky to a brand new day. Beautiful moon, my true love is gone. It's time someone new. There's a hole in my heart. A beautiful moon, they make me smile. It is just Carol, if I lived in your neighborhood, I'd be moving.
Well, this next song, this song I think is one of the most famous songs in the whole wide world, and Kate and I decided to do this one on our CD. I know you're going to recognize it. We do a little different version of it.
I really got to go on that diet so I can speak between them. So we want you to help us sing this. This is, I remember singing this song as a little girl around a campfire. I grew up in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and I remember we used to go to the beach and start a bonfire, and everybody would sing or tell stories or what have you. And this song we used to sing, and it's still being sung.
And you know, I sing in retirement homes a lot with one of your fellow St. Mary's
Tom
guys
up
here.
there.
Tom and I play in St. Mary's
Tom.
homes. And when we play this song, this is the song that brings a smile to everyone's face, and I know you're going to recognize it.
The other night, dear, as I lay sleeping, I dreamt I held you in my arms. But when I woke, dear, I was mistaken. So I hung my head and cried. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. I'll always love you and make you happy if you would only say the same. But if you leave me to love another, you'll regret it some fine day. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. Everybody now, come on. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. Let's sing it louder. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. Thank you. Thank you, St. Mary's. Thank you, Front Porch. Thank you, John.
Thank you, the Honeys. C.A. Okay, Don, you have another shout out. Come on, quickly do it.
Okay, this is for the entire town. We've made a little bit of fun about playing on Murdoch, and we did have a lot of fun, but there was a lot of work to that, and a lot of people in the town of St. Mary's really did an extra effort, and the crew came to me afterwards, and they were really appreciative. They said, you know, from painting the lines over the lines on the street to delaying a little work on the water tower, all the little extras have made their job so much easier to be here filming for 4 days. They said, I said to them jokingly, well, maybe we should do this for more episodes and maybe other TV shows. He said, no, I want exclusive. And I said, okay, but you got to come back more than 4 years. So, we'll see you next year for another episode of the Murdoch Mysteries. Take it away, John.
Oops. Okay, another great show has come and gone for our Cadzow Park gang and those watching on the internet. We'd like to thank our guests Scott Crawford, Orianna Brodbeck, and Terry Todd, and our musical guests, the Honey CA. Join us next Sunday in Cadzow Park live at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, we hope, for episode 8 of the Front Porch Show. Next show's guests are Canadian comedic actress Rosemary Ratcliffe, a St. Mary's native, our local member of Parliament, John Nader, and Ashley Agar to talk about her recent trip to India and Evans Touch-a-Truck. Our musical guest is the one and only Jennifer Thorpe. Good night, everyone. See you next week. Frank, take us home. Tom, come on down here. Join Frank.
I was born in Ontario, a place to stand, a place to grow. From Pickle Lake to Point P Lake, there's no place I'd rather be than my hometown they call Stonetown, the prettiest town for miles around, where little falls laugh, people share smiles, treat you like family. Let's hear it, baby. Oh, St. Mary's, St. Mary's, home to me. Oh, St. Mary's, St. Mary's, home to me. I can't count the times I've been amazed, how I've been blessed, how God is great, how I was led to this special place. It's quite a mystery, where anyone can be your friend, and farmers' fields they never end, and through it all flows the mighty Thames. So what a sight to see. You ready, Tom and the girls? Go! Oh, St. Mary's, St. Mary's, home to me. Oh, St. Mary's, St. Mary's, home to me. A little louder. Oh, St. Mary's, St. Mary's, home to me. Oh, St. Mary's, St. Mary's, home to me. Now, Tom, you're a drummer, so get them all clap along. Try it, Tom. I've left behind many miles on old highways, on dusty trails, where times got rough when all else failed. You were where I should be. Back in my hometown they call Stonetown, prettiest town, where miles around, little falls laugh, people share smiles, living in harmony. Come on, St. Mary's, go! Oh, St. Mary's, St. Mary's, home to me. Oh, St. Mary's, St. Mary's, home to me. Come on, Johnny. Oh, St. Mary's, St. Mary's, home to me. It's my home. St. Mary's, St. Mary's, home to me. Clap along. Oh, St. Mary's, St. Mary's, home to me. He's awesome. Oh, St. Mary's, St. Mary's, home to me.
One more if I can do it.
Oh, St. Mary's, St. Mary's, home to me. It's my home, St. Mary's, St. Mary's, home to me. Oh, St. Mary's, St. Mary's, home to me. It's my home, St. Mary's, St. Mary's, home to me. It's my home, St. Mary's, St. Mary's, home to me. It's our home, St. Mary's, St. Mary's, home to you and me. God bless you. Thank you for watching the Front Porch Show. All right.